Hours of concentration and reaction. It helps to have a crew that can turn volatile fuels into speeds approaching 300 miles an hour. And it helps to have 40 years of experience watching your every move. And we mean move. But at the moment of truth, no one can help. It is simply a matter of car and driver in total isolation. Victory will go to the one whose need for speed is better satisfied. Because in drag racing, when the green light pops, assistance stops. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. As summer turns to fall, the International Hot Rod Association has returned to the track where it all began, Darlington, South Carolina, for the Snap-on Tools U.S. Open Nationals. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Welcome to Darlington International Dragway. Coming into this next to last round on the International Hot Rod Association Trail for 1992, 4 world championships were at stake. One in Top Fuel has already been clinched by North Carolina's Doug Herbert. And the other 3 will have to compete this weekend with the legend. Behind me, Don Garlitz works on his one-of-a-kind Top Fuel machine. With me to call the action this weekend and to tell us what's going on here, ESPN drag racing analyst Ted Jones. Ted, what has Big Daddy wrought this time?
Big Daddy has created a very unusual creature, Bob. This thing is a state-of-the-art. He's done everything imaginable, and all of the world is watching to see just what the potential of this car is. He really doesn't have it sorted out yet, so we have no idea how fast this car is capable of running. But every time that it rolls onto a drag strip, everybody holds their breath in anticipation.
They may provide great fireworks before this season is over. We expect they may do it today at Darlington. And for more on what we can expect this weekend, let's go to the third member of our broadcast team, Brett Kepner.
Well, gentlemen, each and every season, the U.S. Open Nationals here at Darlington International Dragway mean one thing, that the season is drawing to a close. And that makes the points races really heat up, with only one more event to go after this Snap-on U.S. Open Nationals, that, of course, being the Fall Nationals at Bristol in a few weeks. However, this particular event has been plagued by some of the most bizarre weather conditions we've seen all year. During qualifying, it was completely overcast, very humid, but with a very high barometer. That led to record-setting performances in every single professional category. In Pro Modified, 25 cars were in the 6-second zone. A total of 32 machines qualified under 7:10, but it took a 6:87 just to make the program. In Pro Stock Eliminator, you had to go quicker than 7:08 just to be a part of the field. There were incredible numbers in the supercharged funny car and Top Fuel dragster ranks as well. But as far as the points races go, the only 2 that aren't wrapped up right now are in Pro Stock Eliminator with Billy Huff, leading world champ Doug Kirk coming into the event, and in Pro Alcohol Funny Car, Mark Thomas and Scott Weiss still involved in their war. Now, in order for those points races to change, if Huff can win a couple of rounds over Kirk, it'll be over here. And Mark Thomas needs to stay ahead of Weiss to accomplish the same, a 3rd consecutive world championship for the Ohioan. Bob Varsha, what are the weather stats? It's not like it was in qualifying.
Absolutely not, Brett. About 62 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Humidity's still right up there, but barometric pressure is down, and that will certainly affect these engines. Now let's take a look at our Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M Night of Fire, and it was definitely that. Take a look at Steve Litton in the Top Fuel class. What's wrong with this picture? Litton found out when he put the loud pedal to the floor. Blew the whole side right out of the block. Steve Litton doing very well. That's the son of Gary Litton, of course, the veteran nitro funny car driver. And yet, despite all of those pyrotechnics, the engine just kept running. I can't believe it. Let's take another look at a massive engine meltdown. You'll notice there's a problem right there on the right bank. When he hits the throttle, that's when everything let loose. No flames out of the right bank, just the left bank. Look at that thing exploding now. Continuous explosion out of that powerful nitromethane engine. Talk about a fireworks show, and yet the magnetos and the spark plugs keep working. The engine keeps ticking over. Still on fire. He has oil on it now, and so you're getting that into the situation. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Steve Litton Goes right down the middle of the racetrack as well, and that created a huge cleanup problem for the PTS track crew.
I don't think Lytton is aware of how seriously damaged that motor is right now.
Well, from the tragic to the sublime. Take a close look now at Richard Langston from Carson City, Nevada, rocketing down the track and posting some tremendous numbers.
5:16, 273, a perfect run.
In Pro Modified, Scotty Cannon in the left lane, going up against occasional competitor Pete Williams. Cannon on the verge of clinching that world championship and does it with a spectacular run.
A new track record, 6:64 for the Cannonball.
The Pro Mods keep on trucking, and how about Floyd Cheek? Over 800 cubic inches of Pro Stock Ford power goes to the line and rewrites another record book.
Floyd Cheek with that big 806 cubic inch Ford engine to a 694, 199 miles per hour.
And then there is Alcohol Funny Car. Everybody looking for 6 seconds. Nobody got it, but 6 cars ran 6.1, led by this man, Todd Patton.
6.1 with a 0, 228 miles per hour, and he set the pace.
Talk about fireworks. The Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M aerial display was almost eclipsed by what we saw on the racetrack. And there's more to come. Our ESPN coverage is brought to you by Pennzoil, America's #1 selling motor oil for performance, protection, and quality. And by B.F. Goodrich TA Tires for unsurpassed performance on the street, on the track, and off-road. After a quick time out, we'll be back to begin Eliminations with Pro Stock. Back at the Snap-on Tools U.S. Open Nationals at Darlington. First up, quarterfinal action in Pro Stock. Nary a 500 cubic inch engine to be seen. This is mountain motor country. You saw Doug Kirk, 786 cubic inches of Chevy power, alongside Morris Johnson Jr., 747 cubic inches. Doug Kirk, a two-time winner on the IHRA trail this year, #2 in points to Billy Huff, and trying desperately to hold on and defend that world championship. Morris Johnson Jr., his opponent, beat Harold Denton in the previous round. Denton, #3 in points coming in. This should be a great matchup.
Young Doug Kirk, the big #1 on his windshield, indicating he is the defending world champion.
Kirk, one of 4 cars of the 8 in this quarterfinal round that eclipsed 7 seconds in the most recent round at Epping, New Hampshire. Kirk with the advantage off the start line. Johnson Jr. is going to have to close round quickly. They're side by side.
Look at the top-end horsepower for Doug Kirk, 709, 196 miles per hour. He's on a roll.
Our next matchup features this man, Gary Van Vallis, from Shelby Township, Michigan, in an 88 Chevy Camaro, 747 cubic inches, against Jerry Yeoman, who beat Carlton Phillips in the previous round with 747 cubic inches of Pontiac power.
Van Vallis, a rookie in the Pro Stock ranks. Can he pull it off? No. Yeoman, 708, 195. This is a 7-0 race, Bob.
Another look at the start. Yeoman, 5/100ths of a second short of Van Vallis on the tree, and that is a lifetime in Pro Stock.
Yeoman, you'll see at the 8th mile track just now catching Van Vallis because of that giant 481 hole shot he pulled off. As they move to the finish line, it's going to be the 708 ET that wins it for Yeoman.
Let's take one more look with our ESPN photo finish camera. Yeoman driving around Van Vallis to move into the semifinals. Our third matchup, yet another sub-7 second car. Let's go back now and take a look at Billy Huff's season.
Huff has come on like thunder here against the veteran Carlton Phillips. Watching pull top end all the way down, bumped him off to win that championship.
That was the Empire Nationals in Leicester, New York. And now to Epping, New Hampshire, the Northeast Nitrous Nationals, the first of 2 events at Epping this year, and it was a sweep for Huff. He won both of them, here setting down Todd Tutterow, #5 in points.
Both of these guys were former factory modified drivers that have advanced to Pro Stock.
And here's another look at Huff in action at Epping, this time against Chris Hunt, a young 23-year-old future star from Alabama.
Huff picked up yet another victory on the IHRA trail on his way to the points championship.
And in that race at Epping, Billy Huff ran 6:9:47 at 201 miles per hour. An absolutely astonishing run. Here in Darlington, he sets down Robert Patrick.
Technically, that should have done it. We can only go unofficially at this point, but a 7:13 may not be the way you wanted to officially win the World Championship, but how about a 4:04 reaction time to get it?
That's what I wanted to do. I knew I had to do it to beat him. The Fords have come up there and they're running. They're running real fast.
You said to me at the end of the last round, I said, it's not completely official yet, and you said, I sure hope this thing is over. How does it feel finally?
Now we can race. The pressure's off. It feels great. Now we can just race.
And Bobby needed that 4:04. Patrick ran a 7:07.
We move on now to Charlie Garrett Jr. against Floyd Cheek with that huge Ford engine. Both of these guys ran under 7 seconds at Epping, New Hampshire. Here, Garrett knocks off Cheek to move on to the semifinals.
Garrett did it with a 7:10 to Cheek's losing 7:12 as the big Ford slowed down.
And so Garrett will meet Huff. In the semis, Jerry Yeoman will go up against Doug Kirk, who desperately needs a victory. Once again, here's Brett.
At any IHRA championship drag race, there's lots of action on the track and in the pit area, but one of the most intense areas of activities is always Manufacturers Midway. It's here that you'll find aftermarket parts and representatives from virtually every company involved in automotive marketing. As a matter of fact, you'll find not only every available speed piece of equipment, but also plenty of actual work available, including designing and manufacturing of special pieces. It's here that a lot of racers, and for that matter, street enthusiasts, find brand new products that they can't see anywhere else yet, and have specialty pieces made right on the spot. That's why we can draw these kind of crowds to the Manufacturers Midway to see one of the most unbelievable lineups of equipment available.
Absolutely right, Brett. And the technical know-how behind the counter to tell you how to use them. We'll be back with Pro Mod. Back at Darlington International Dragway in Darlington, South Carolina, the Snap-on Tools U.S. Open Nationals moves into Pro Modified. Our first matchup in the quarterfinals was a walkover for this man, Animal Jim Fuhrer from Lakin, Illinois, because his opponent, Jeff Brozovich, red-lighted, and here it is.
But Animal Jim didn't waste it. He ran a 6:91. I don't believe it. Animal, a 6:91.
One of the great all-time match racers. There's a look at Al Billis from Barrie, Ontario, #2 in points for the second year in a row. He beat Fast Eddie Hoover in the first round. His opponent, Gary Grainer from Orchard Park, New York. Now notice Al Billis, who sometimes runs a supercharged engine, is going with a nitrous-boosted machine this weekend.
Look at Grainer's car carry that front wheel.
Close race, but it'll go to Billis. 689, 200.35 miles an hour, and a solid reaction time.
List the number on Grainer. How about this? A 689. Identical ETs. It was one right off the starting line. Billis with a 451 reaction time to Grainer's losing 472.
At half track, Al Billis had him by a fender. I think it might have been even closer than that at the finish, as Grainer posted a great top-end charge.
2 689s. You can't get much closer than this right here.
Now, fans of IHRA racing here on ESPN know that the battle was between supercharged and nitrous-boosted engines this year. 14 nitrous cars, 2 supercharged began the day. We're down to 6 nitrous and 2 supercharged in the quarterfinals. Now, there's Pete Williams, who missed a few races this year. He was up to 3rd in the points earlier this season, well back now in the 6th spot. His opponent, the 1990 world champion in the class, Tim McCamus from Moscow Mills, Missouri.
McCamus would like to get back up on top. He's had kind of a tough year. Right here's his chance to move into the semifinals. He needs it.
McCamus is a car builder by trade. He built his own machine. Problems for Williams. McCamus will take it.
Tim McCamus with a sensational 6.76, 203 miles per hour. He is back.
And now our final matchup. This is Mark Carter from Oak Arch, Oklahoma, who beat Tommy Mooney in the first round. His opponent, the Cannonball, Scotty Cannon from Lyman, South Carolina, the defending world champion, #1 in points, coming in, a 526 cubic inch supercharged Chevy under the hood. You see Scotty in there talking to himself.
What can you do against this guy? He's been running 660s consistently. If I were Carter, I'd take a shot on the tree.
Big revs from that alcohol-burning supercharged machine. Both cars carrying the wheels. The wheels come down for Cannon, and he wins it.
Scotty Cannon, a 6.67, 206 mile per hour. Carter did beat him off the line, but to no avail.
And that's bad news for the rest of the field. As you take a look at the Pro Modified ladder, Scotty Cannon ran a new track record 664 under great weather conditions in qualifying. He is very close to those numbers now. Right now, let's take a time out and visit our IHRA hot rod shop. Here's Brett Kepner with a word for you shiftless folks.
On previous editions of Hot Rod Shop, we've talked an awful lot about automatic transmission shifters, but there's one even more important piece of equipment in an automatic transmission. It's the torque converter. Now, the torque converter may well be one of the most integral pieces of any race car or street machine. The automatic transmission torque converter is a fluid coupling device that multiplies the torque of the engine. But remember, it is a fluid coupler. Under normal circumstances, a fluid coupling device would lose a lot of its power. They're not the most efficient ways of engaging a transmission. In fact, a manual transmission usually has a much higher efficiency rate. But there are ways to improve the efficiency of your machine and to gain a starting line RPM advantage. An automatic transmission seldom is able to leave the line at a high RPM, such as a manual transmission car could. But with a racing or aftermarket transmission, including the tremendous line of those created by TCI, you can gain that high RPM starting line advantage, but yet lose the violence that is associated with a manual transmission all the way down the track. No matter how you look at it, you can spend anywhere from about $150 to almost $1,000 on different type and RPM rated automatic transmission converters. But no matter which one you pick, you're definitely going to increase the performance of your particular application.
All right, thank you, Brett. That's this week's edition of the IHRA Hot Rod Shop. We're going to move up the performance ladder to alcohol funny cars and top fuel dragsters when we return to Darlington. Back on a beautiful early fall afternoon in Darlington, South Carolina, the Snap-on Tools U.S. Open Nationals moves to alcohol funny cars. Our first matchup features the man trying to become a three-time world champion. In the lime green car to the right, Mark Thomas from Louisville, Ohio. His opponent, part of my all-name team, Carney Freifogel from Sykesville, Maryland. I've been teasing Carney that his name must be a pseudonym all year long. The truth must now out. It is Carney's real name. Thomas gets a little wild in the far lane, but he looks like he has this wrapped.
Oh, he was out first, Bob. He runs a 6.17, 224 miles per hour. He won it wire to wire with a magnificent 4:34 reaction time.
And in beating Freifogel, he knocks off the man who beat Thomas's closest competitor in the points, Scott Weiss. We move on now to Scott Wenny, number 10 in points, against Bobby Baucom.
It's going to take a team to win this race. Scott Wenny right in the game, 6.15, 226 miles per hour.
Our next matchup, Melinda Green, who beat Bunny Burkett in the first round in an all-female matchup, up against Canadian Doug Pearson.
Melinda premiered a couple years ago and has done very well when she runs IHRA. 6.24, 221 miles per hour. She'll have to step that up to a team to go on, though.
In the fourth and final round, Todd Patton, number 3 in points, desperately needed a victory, but he fouled against Jim Bailey. So Bailey will meet Mark Thomas. Scott Wenny will go up against Ms. Green. With that... Back in Darlington, South Carolina, on the International Hot Rod Association Championship Trail, Top Fuel Quarterfinals. Now there's a close look at Wayne Bailey, number 5 in points from Lake Orion, Michigan. His opponent, Kenny Koretsky from Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Koretsky, a part-timer on the Top Fuel circuit. He began his professional drag racing career in pro stock and then stepped up to the nitro cars.
Wayne Bailey, known as one of the little guys in Top Fuel racing. No sponsorship. He does this strictly out of his hip pocket.
Bailey qualified number 4 for the event. Koretsky number 5, so at least on paper, this should be a very close race. There's a look at Wayne Bailey, who has aspirations of becoming a nitro funny car driver. Koretsky getting some last-minute attention from his crew. And, folks, you can believe it. Your eyes do water around these cars. That mixture of nitromethane grabs you in your chest, and you just tear all the way down. Now smoke off both tires. Koretsky getting a little sideways and crosses the center line.
Koretsky playing follow the leader across the finish line. Wayne Bailey with a 5.77. Not a real stellar performance, but boy, what a driving job by both of these guys. That track was loose out there.
And this could have been a disaster if they had been side by side. Both sets of hides go up in smoke. Koretsky has to get out of it. That lets Bailey pull ahead, and then when Koretsky gets his foot back in it, the car just snaps to the right.
That left lane was plenty loose over there. Thank goodness that Bailey didn't lift and drove it right out of the smoke and across the finish line.
Here's another look from behind Koretsky's cars as those great big slicks dig in.
The thing you have to be very careful of here as he turns that car sideways, right there, is that car could roll over very easily. These cars are made to go in a straight line, not sideways.
No road racing in a Top Fuel dragster, huh? Now there is John Carey backing into position after performing his burnout. He'll try to back up over the tracks of hot rubber laid down by the slick. Meanwhile, Brett has more on John Carey's operation.
The sport of drag racing has only ever enjoyed a few two-car teams, but the newest one is certainly the Race Against Drugs dual-car effort of longtime Top Fuel supporter John Carey. The interesting aspect of this brand-new act is the fact that the driver of John's 1991 car is Mike Smith, who gained fame at the wheel of his father's Top Fuel dragster in IHRA competition. Smith has now jumped over to the John Carey camp, and since he is indeed a licensed fuel driver, and since John already had his 91 car ready to run in his two-car trailer, he decided to add this particular car to the U.S. Open Nationals assault for the Race Against Drugs operation. One would have to guess that financially it just makes sense to run a car that's sitting in there, but it's still a huge financial burden to go out there and actually run two cars in one event.
Yeah, it is, but IHRA has been very good, and the fans have been very good for us, and Mike and Bodie have come to work for us, the Smith boys. You know, Mike is a good driver, and he wants opportunity to get into the sport, and we need young men into it, so, you know, we're going to try and see how it works out for us.
Now, is this just a one-shot deal, or could this turn into a permanent relationship between you and Mike?
No, I think it's going to turn into a permanent relationship. We talked about it, and I think we're going to definitely run two cars next year.
So you're talking about building a brand new car for Mike for 93?
Yes, Mike, Mark Rowe has a new chassis sitting there just about completed, and if we can sell this car, we're going to go ahead and get the other car and have two new cars for next year.
Was it originally a deal where you may have ended up driving the car, or is this something that just came about?
No, we just kind of started talking about it one day, and there wasn't quite a full field up there in New England, so we said, well, let's go ahead and put one together and see what happens. And then we got a couple guys on the line to buy the car, and then there's another car sitting at Mark Rowe's now, so if we sell this and get a good price for this one, go ahead and build a new one so I can drive it.
It seems like a heck of a deal, because although your abilities as a crew chief are in demand, this can't possibly be any better for you as a driver.
He can't beat it, that's for sure.
Well, not only is Mike Smith a crew chief and a driver, he is also an instructor in nitro-fueled racing. Right now, you're on board with his new boss, John Carey, going up against Bruce Larson in that radical new Don Garlits creation. Problems for Larson, and Carey wins.
Carey pulls it out with a 544. Bruce had it won, and he started going up in smoke once again. Watch that left lane or far lane over there. After they come off the pad right there, you'll see him start boiling the hides. He stayed in it, hoping somehow that he'd find some traction, and he just couldn't do it.
Notice the single strut on the rear wing, one of the innovations that Don Garlits is working on, but they haven't quite got that mechanical combination down yet, and Carey will advance. Now here is Richard Langston from Carson City, Nevada. Number 4 in points coming into this weekend. His opponent, this man, Jack Ostrander, Pontiac Jack from Pontiac, Michigan. Number 2 in points, but of course no chance of overtaking Doug Herbert, who has already clinched the Top Fuel Championship. Langston away off the start, but then Langston goes up in smoke, but keeps his foot in it and wins. Wow.
Brilliant driving job. Richard Langston, 565, 246. Watch this driving job. Again, when he comes off the pad in that far lane, he immediately goes up in smoke. Meanwhile, Ostrander had already shut it down. Had he not done that, now you see he's back in it, but he's too late. Look at that car weave. He stands in it, looking to the side. Where's Ostrander? Wonder if he's caught me yet.
Driving for car owner Frank Faber. A tremendous job by Richard Langston. One more look. He gets sideways there. He gets sideways there. Gets over to the left, almost off the racing lane, and pulls it out.
Monroe introduced...
Back at Darlington, South Carolina. Bob Varsha, Ted Jones with you. Earlier, Brett Kepner was over on the manufacturer's Midway looking at all the different parts that you can buy for your drag racer. He stopped by John Carey's pits to find out you can buy the whole ball of wax. Here's Brett.
Everybody knows that the expense of top fuel dragster racing has become phenomenal, but a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to go out and buy a brand new race car to be competitive. In fact, right here at Darlington at Honest John's used top fuel lot, you may be able to pick up the bargain of the century. Here's Honest John himself, who's selling last year's race against Drug Stop Fueler. The big price that anybody would ask is, Honest John, how much?
Around 110. It's got a brand new motor in it.
$110,000 now.
110,000, yeah.
There's a brand new motor in it. I won't find sawdust in the transmission or anything like that.
No, none of that.
All right, how much did the brand new Race Against Drugs top fueler cost?
Around 145, 150.
So we're saving about $35,000 here from buying a brand new car.
Right.
And you'll sell this ready to run, sitting on the starting line, no spare parts, I understand, but fuel in the tank and the whole deal.
And we'll help you run it.
Okay, you take credit cards?
Yeah, sure.
The traveler's checks?
Sure.
You'll take anything that's worth $110,000, right?
That's right.
Sold to anybody that's got it.
You bet, Brett. Plus, he has Mike Smith in his team. Smith used to teach at his father Paul's Nitro School down in Boynton Beach, Florida. So there is the whole show. And there is the whole show in Pro Stock this year. 22-year-old Billy Huff from Shepherdsville, Kentucky, who has gone to the finals in 7 of the 11 races he has started this year, winning 4 of them. And he has also clinched his first world title. His opponent, Charlie Garrett. Both of these guys were under 7 seconds at Epping, New Hampshire. Let's see who's got the cards today. Garrett gets squirrely off the start line, gives Huff an advantage, and you don't want to do that.
You can't take Garrett too lightly, though. He's ran as quick as 7:07, but not this time. Billy Huff, a 7:12 to pick up the victory.
Now there is Jerry Yeoman, who will race Doug Kirk in our next matchup. Meanwhile, down at the big end, Brett Kepner has caught up with Billy Huff. Let's hear how the new world champion is doing now that the crown rests easily.
I know you always say, I can't believe it, but this thing, the dream continues.
Yeah, I guess so.
Another run in the 17s, and even though I think you're approaching this a lot like Mark Thomas. You know, he said, I don't want to believe it until Bristol. When it's finally over and it's over and I know I'm in the lead, I don't want to think about it, but this thing's done.
Oh, man, I just want to win this race. That's the next thing I want to do.
It's weird priorities, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I know that that's the way a lot of drivers approach it, but still, you've got one more to go.
Yeah, let's hope it's a good one.
Good luck.
Thanks.
I understand that Billy Huff and his dad Cheryl have something big in store for the Fall Nationals at Bristol. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Doug Kirk, who has seen his title taken away by young Billy Huff, will have the business of Jerry Yeoman on his hands, and Yeoman will be no pushover in this situation.
Kirk actually went quicker last round from a 7:12 to a 7:09, so watch out. Here he goes.
Problems for Yeoman. Kirk will have the easy run, and it's a good one.
7:11, 196 miles per hour, but he actually slowed 200.
And so it will be Billy Huff against Doug Kirk. It would be nice if the championship were at stake as number 1 meets number 2, but that will not be the case. We will move on now to semifinal action in Pro Modified. And there is the 1990 world champion, Tim McCamus, in a car he built himself. His opponent will be Al Billis from Barrie, Ontario, Canada, who for the second year in a row pretty much has a firm grip on second place in the points behind new world champ Scotty Cannon.
Basically about a 1/10 of a second difference in these two guys. McCamus running 670s, Billis running 680s. So Billis has to find a 1/10 of a second somewhere. Maybe he should have went back to the blown motor.
Crew checking carefully to make sure the Canadian Maple Leaf is right side up all the way around the car. 14 nitrous-boosted cars started this weekend against 2 supercharged cars. We are down to 3 nitrous machines and 1 supercharged car. That's the Cannonball Chevy of Scotty Cannon.
See McCamus' hand resting on that Lenco shifter. He'll make a fast shift from first to second, actually only about 20 feet out when he hits that lever.
About 40 inches of displacement favor Tim McCamus, but the nitrous will make up for it. If Al Billis has his way, they are side by side at half track. McCamus beats Billis.
McCamus with a 678, 203 miles per hour and a beautiful 4:39 reaction time. Nice job, Tim.
The kid McCamus is coming on strong. Now let's see who he will meet in the finals. This is Scotty Cannon, the restaurant owner from Lyman, South Carolina. He will go up against Animal Jim Fuhrer. Meantime, McCamus has climbed out down in the shutdown area. Here's Brett.
You know, back in 1990, you won both races in the first year of Pro Mod here at Darlington on your way to a World Championship. And I know your schedule doesn't permit you to make as many events as you would like, but man, this track is good to you.
It is. We've had, well, you know, we came here in the winter this year and didn't even qualify. And we thought we were going to have some bad luck. Well, it turns around, we're running pretty good. Another 70. This one is 78. This thing just won't stop. No, we're hoping we pick it up a little bit for the final. It's going to be tough.
4:39 reaction time, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now we will learn whether or not Tim McCamus will go up against another nitrous car or a supercharged alcohol-burning machine. Up come the Rebs.
Animal Jim running 690s. What can you do against the 660 Scotty Cannon? And Animal Jim broke.
Problems for Fuhrer. Cannon will move on into the final with a 669, 206 mile-an-hour performance. Cannon against McCamus in a battle of the champions in Pro Modified. Coming up next, we have Alcohol Funny Car Semifinals. Stay with us for more from Darlington. On their feet here at Darlington International Dragway as we move into the semifinal round. Alcohol Funny Cars up first. And our first matchup could be an interesting one. Here comes Melinda Green from Norfolk, Virginia. Winner of an all-female first round when she beat fellow Virginian Buddy Burkett. She then set down Canadian Doug Hearsum, and now she will go up against Harkerford, Pennsylvania's Scott Queenie.
The bad news for Melinda is she's been running mid-20s. It's going to take a team to win this race. It's going to take a team to beat Winnie, who hasn't been out of the teams all day.
Good launch for both cars. Side by side at half track. This may be it for Green, but no.
Scott Winnie, 618, 224. Melinda Green has predicted 623.
Well, it looked like it was going to be a lot closer than that at half track. Watch the cars come down, going up through high gear, reaching up over 225 miles an hour at the big end.
This was Green's best performance, but it wasn't good enough to match a team.
So Scott Weddy moves on to the final, and now let's see who he will meet. There is Jim Bailey out of Mantua, Ohio. His opponent, Mark Thomas, the first three-time world champion in IHRA alcohol funny car history. The grain farmer from Louisville, Ohio, in his 92 Dodge Daytona.
Both of these guys running about identical ETs the last round, Bob. This is a race.
Little smoke off the tires of Bailey. Thomas with a bit of an advantage, almost gets sideways. Wow, what a run.
Mark Thomas, 618, 223. Jim Bailey slowed to a 622. Let's look at it again.
Keep your eye on that green car in the far lane. He drifts over towards the left side of the track, and then in correcting it, almost hops it sideways. That's what it looked like at half track. Almost a full car length advantage. Watch the green car. Ooh, Thomas gets to the middle again.
Nice driving job for Mark Thomas at the photo finish. It was down to a quarter car.
You looked pretty serious earlier. You must have a lot off your mind now.
A lot off our mind. You know, it's hard to grasp the World Championship until the last race. 2 years in a row, it's come down to the last race, and that was just hard on me. And so it's like the fat lady singing deal, you know. It's hard for me until Bristol's over and they tell me for sure, and I know it's for sure, but it's just that thing. You just got to wait a little bit longer.
You're not quite ready to accept it, I understand.
Not quite. We want to get through this race.
One more.
If we can get to go straight down the track, I think we can do okay.
Only 200 slower than winning.
Thanks. Thanks.
And so Mark Thomas would like to cap his third world championship with a victory, but he's going to have to drive around Scott Winnie to do it. We move on now to Top Fuel. And a part of the fun of bringing you IHRA competition here on ESPN is the opportunity to put cameras in places like this. Behind John Kerry's head, looking back at a 498 cubic inch motor making nearly 5,000 horsepower. And at the same time, to look forward at John Kerry at work in the cockpit. Now, Wayne Bailey's in the next matchup, but he's had some problems. Here's Brett to tell us about it.
As Wayne Bailey's crew gets ready for the semifinal round, that in and out of the throttle super smoky first round win had its price. Here's a piston that they had to pull for the motor. As you can see, it's burned big time. Now, when the top of a piston collapses like this, it eventually burns a hole through it. You can see where the rings have literally caved in. And at that point, the fire from the spark plug and the ensuing nitro loads that come into the cylinder start burning the connecting rod up underneath it. Luckily, this one didn't burn right through, or it would have caused a whole bunch more damage. And right now, all Wayne Bailey's crew really has to do is change the piston and get ready for round number 2.
Hard to imagine the forces at work in an engine that takes just under 500 cubic inches and turns it into 4,500 horsepower. Keep in mind, it's a 2-valve pushrod engine with a supercharger. Now John Carey and Richard Langston will decide one half of our final round matchup in Top Fuel. Smoke for Langston. John Carey hazes the hides a bit as well, but he will win it.
John Carey, 545, 262 miles per hour. Nice performance. Still, the problems plague us with that left lane or far lane. Watch as they come off the end of the pad, up in smoke. He lifts, back in it again, still no traction.
It's all a matter of trying to put 4,500 horsepower to the ground through the clutch. And the clutch has to be adjusted to bring on the power at just the right rate. Neither driver had it down, but Carey had the better combination. And a 545 is not going to work against a guy like this. Doug Herbert trying to tie the record held by the Immortals, Gene Snow and Big Daddy Don Garlits with his 5th victory of the season. He has already clinched the World Championship. But like Billy Huff, like Mark Thomas, like Scotty Cannon, he wants to cap it off with a victory here today. His opponent, Wayne Bailey, who got that engine put back together. We'll see if he has solved his mechanical problems. Keep in mind, he's in that far lane, the slick one.
Herbert has already set the pace with a 514, and the lane does it again. Up in smoke, Herbert a 521, 272 miles per hour. You talk about lane choice being important, Bob.
The quicker ET means Doug Herbert can choose his lane for the final.
What's the problem? I mean, it seemed to launch okay and then broke loose in the mid-range. Is that something you can adjust with or compensate for?
Well, I think the header probably created a lot of moving around. I noticed it's scuffing the tires up pretty bad, so I imagine he's gotten fuel back on the tires.
It's true. A lot of people don't realize that's an awful lot of force pushing out to the side.
Yeah, going the wrong way for us, and we need to push it down.
Second consecutive final at this track. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're going to win this deal.
See ya.
Thank you.
At the beginning of the year here with Carey, my header fell off and he whipped me, so hopefully we'll get a little revenge for that.
I'm sure you'll be trying.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Keep lights on here at the IHRA Snap-on Tools U.S. Open Nationals, which raises an interesting possibility. Remember the performances from the Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M Night of Fire? Well, it'll be finals under the lights here at Darlington as well, and perhaps with some performances to match. Up out of the bleach box with fuel burning out of the headers comes John Carey and his Top Fuel creation. Next to him, the new world champion looking for a spot in the record books alongside Gene Snow and Big Daddy Don Garlits, Doug Herbert.
Garlits and Snow, the only Top Fuel drivers that have won 5 titles in one season, so that's exactly what this man would like to do. And speaking of the rain, Bob, you know it can have either a good or a bad effect. It's really probably in John Carey's favor. The rain can also cool the track down and make the traction go away. But at the same time, especially here at Darlington, with the problem of the sand on the surface, it can tend to clean the racetrack, wash that sand away, and give them a new running surface.
Remember, after the previous round, John Carey said the headers on his engine were moving around and giving his tires problem because of all the heat being blown onto those slicks. Doug Herbert being wrenched by veteran crew chief Jim Brissett, who has had an impact on several Top Fuel competitors this year. And Doug Herbert takes the advantage right from the starting line.
Herbert, a 526, 276 miles per hour, and that's slow for Doug Herbert.
So apparently the cooler temperatures have not helped. Here's another look at the launch with fuel blazing out of the headers. Watch for something to come flying off one of the cars as they get down to the finish. I thought maybe it was a blower belt, but I couldn't quite see.
Notice in the left lane there, no problem with that traction that we had previously. That means the rain did clean it up and put Carey in the race.
The World Championship may be over at this point, but you seem as enthusiastic as ever about cleaning house at Bristol, too.
Hey, we like to win races, you know. We come here to win the race and championship. We haven't really thought about that all year, you know. We just go trying to win the race, and that's all.
Pretty serious case of domination. Another great one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And so Doug Herbert goes into the record books alongside Snow and Garlits. And we move on to Pro Modified. There is Scotty Cannon, and there is Tim McCamus, the 1990 champion against the 91 and 92 titleists. Now this should be a drag race. A supercharged machine, Scotty Cannon's, against a nitrous-boosted machine, Tim McCamus.
Only problem is Tim McAmis has not yet been in the 60s. He's got to find a way to run a 60 because Scotty Cannon is running like a bracket racer. He's cranking out 660s every run. Now, one thing Scotty didn't count on was this track being cleaner. He's put McAmis over there in the left lane, but we already know from the run we just saw that may not be a disadvantage.
Up come the revs on that supercharged engine, giving away 180 cubic inches of displacement to the nitrous-boosted machine. McAmis carries the wheels. Cannon has the advantage at half track. Here comes McAmis. No.
He gave him a race. Scotty Cannon, look at that, 666, 207, like a bracket racer.
Championship consistency from the man in the near lane, Scotty Cannon. But you're right, Ted. Tim McAmis gave him a heck of a race here. Past half track, down to the finish line they come. 666 with a 1 for Cannon, 679 with a 1 for McAmis. Here's Brett.
666 again. You put it on one number, and that's what you ran.
Well, it's about what we had it dialed for. I think I can go probably 4 or 5 more, but I told myself, man, it's done rain. I said, let's go safe and sorry.
Didn't want to go greedy.
No, and it shook too in second a little bit, but that track I didn't give up any. I kind of regret it. I was kind of wanting to get in those 50s.
You wrapped everything up. Does that take any pressure off you at all going into Bristol, do you think?
No, not far as the race. I mean, none whatsoever.
So you can expect to see the Cannonball at full speed in the Fall Nationals at Bristol. We've gone from a battle of the champions. Well, we have another battle of champions, come to think on it. This is Billy Huff in his 12th final of the year. He has won 4 times. He is the 1992 Pro Stock World Champion. His opponent, the 1991 titleist in the near lane, Doug Kirk.
Youth is surging ahead in Pro Stock. Both of these guys are second-generation racers.
Both only in their 20s. These guys are going to be around for a long time.
Equal matchup. They've been running about the same ETs all day long.
Great launches. I give the advantage to Huff in the right lane. At half track, it is Huff. Smoking a bit, but he wins it.
Billy Huff, 709, 196. That's exactly what Kurt ran in the most previous round, and he did it in the supposedly bad lane.
Boy, that rain has done so much for that left lane. Here's another look now. The cars creep into position. Watch for an advantage off the starting line. Pretty close. 432 for Huff, 427 for Kirk. It's hard to get much closer to 400 than that.
The problem was Doug Kirk could not come up with another 09. He ran a 715. The car slowed by 600, and that's why he lost to Billy Huff. Down on top end, Brett Kepner talks with the young Lion.
You know, just before or right after the semifinals, I should say, Doug Kirk came over to you and said, hey, let's just forget about the points. Let's just run one run for the World Championship. You'd have beat him anyway, 709 to 715.
Don't think I wasn't worried. Man, I sat up there in the stage lane and thought to myself, now I know Doug wants me right now. He gonna put it on me. Man, it was a good race. I mean, it looked close to me.
Apparently he did leave on you a little tiny bit, but even so, do you believe it yet? I mean, come on, it's over now.
Well, I guess I better, huh?
Do you sense relief in the voice of young Billy Huff? We move on now to the final in alcohol funny cars. Once again, the world champion is in one lane. In fact, he's in that supposedly slower left lane on the far side. Mark Thomas, his opponent, Scott Wenny, who is the faster car coming in. Let's see if Thomas can rise to the occasion.
Scott Wenny put Thomas over there, but only by 0.3 of a second. Talk about close. They both turned 6/18 in the semifinal. This is setting up to be a great drag race.
Mark Thomas in his 6th final of the year. He has 4 victories. When he won the Winter Nationals here at Darlington back in March, it looks like Thomas has the advantage.
Winnie pulls it out with a 6/18, 223, but listen to this. Mark Thomas, a 6/18 with a 0. Winnie won it right off the starting line. He turned a 4:14 reaction time. Thomas could only muster up a 4:43.
We expected it to be close, and it was. 3/100ths of a second in reaction time translates into 7/1000 at the other end.
You know, in every victory that you've had in IHRA competition, you're always the first one to say, oh, it's the guys, it's Sheets, it's Masty, it's everybody else who helps you out. As the driver this time, buddy, you left on the world champ by 300ths. You held on to a 19 to a losing 18, so it was all driver.
Well, you got to have a good race car anyhow. The car's been fairly consistent here. for the racetrack conditions. A little slippery, it seemed, for us. And the rain and the weather changing really changed things a lot.
Oh, I was going to ask you, how bad did it change things up there? Did you have to rearrange anything in the clutch?
Well, the altitude changed a couple hundred feet from when it stopped raining to when we ran. And that really, that's Dennis's deal.
You're absolutely right. That's when everybody has to work together.
That's right.
An amazing job. You just keep killing them at this track. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
And so Scott Wenning completes the Darlington sweep. We'll be back to wrap things up in just a moment.